can this reportedly troubled production with multiple reshoots, character, plot lines and title changes come together to form a coherent, satisfying addition to what is arguably Marvel's best trilogy? Or will it crumble under the weight of trying to introduce a new Captain America under circumstances that are perhaps ill-advised? We have been in a phase of offensively bad Marvel projects with unlikable protagonists that act more like villains with questionable morals. Are our standards now so low that when we're given crumbs we act like it's a full meal? Should a film be praised for simply being better than what came before, but could still only be described as fine? Join me in this review of Captain America Brave New World to find out. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and help me reach 100 subscribers. In the interest of time and stopping you from potentially wasting it and your hard-earned money watching this film, it's alright. It's the safest film you'll ever see with Brave in the title. It is nowhere near the quality level of the other 3 Captain America films and lacks the heart, smarts and slick action scenes found in those films. The only thing this movie does to move the MCU forwards is introduce adamantium and make Thunderbolt Ross angry. If you've seen a trailer or any of the marketing, you know what that means. And yes, the fight is short, underwhelming and immersion breaking. It's better than 80% of the Marvel projects from the last 5 years, but that bar is so low, it's hardly an achievement. So, if that's all you wanted to know, thanks for stopping by. If you want some more details, stick around. First, let's talk about Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson. This film does little to convince you that Sam Wilson was the right choice to take up the Captain America mantle. Tell me again why Bucky was a worse choice? The film is in fact very insecure about that very choice. It constantly tells you that Sam is Captain America without showing you that he is. Mackie is, however, likeable in a script and story so simple-minded that desperately tries to copy Winter Soldier's homework, but from a writer that has room temperature IQ. Exposition is as subtle as a sledgehammer to the head, over-explaining every potential revelation and story beat. The plot essentially boils down to the villain wanting to make Thunderbolt Ross mad, and functions more so as a sequel to The Incredible Hulk from 2008 than anything else. Even the villain comes from that film. Mackie displays decent chemistry in his best scenes with the new Falcon, Danny Ramirez as Torres, a title Sam Wilson has now discarded, implying that he was lesser for being the Falcon instead of Captain America. I personally really like Sam Wilson as Falcon and would have had no problem with him leading the Avengers or having a Falcon movie. He functions more as Falcon in his fighting style here anyway, and barely uses the shield. There is one action scene near the end that involves a naval battle, and it has some creative uses of his various gadgets and abilities, but this is an exception in an otherwise muddled film of below-average fight scenes and implausible scenarios. Sam's power levels are all over the place. He can throw the shield with the same power as Steve Rogers and take out 5 guys at once, without super soldier serum, by the way. He is simultaneously held down by 2 guys in another scene and is able to catch a giant flagpole with his bare hands without issue in a later one. There are multiple scenarios that should have resulted in his death. He's stabbed and shrugs it off with no lasting impact, and justifying it with an obviously reshot scene with quote, Kevlar weave ain't a good enough excuse. Not to mention the fight with Red Hulk. Even if his vibranium wings absorb most of the power from the hit, his bones should still be pulverized and turned to dust. If Hulk's clap can level a building, Sam should not survive even with vibranium tech. Much of the fight was rumoured to be left on the cutting room floor, as even internally it was thought it went too far. This film totally lacks, in the words of Robert Meyer Burnett, verisimilitude and believability. Speaking of believability, would you hire a 4-foot woman to be your head of security? Well, you might if she was able to throw fully grown men around like pillows. Shira Hassa's Ruth/Sabra lacks presence, and any time she tries to be intimidating, it's so distractingly awful it removes any tension that could have potentially played out in a scene. In the comics, Sabra is a mutant with enhanced abilities. Instead here she's simply a Black Widow, which doesn't come close to explaining her feats here. It's great to see Marvel giving child actors more substantial roles, but this was a disastrous casting decision. One can only imagine what they actually had to cut out. Harrison Ford is, however, one of the best elements of this film. With an entertaining performance that you'd struggle to call good, he makes no effort to emulate William Hurt's performance or mannerisms of Thunderbolt Ross, and simply plays a version of himself, one with maybe a few more anger issues. Here, Ross is the newly elected President of the United States, something Ford had done previously, 30 years ago. Anyway, he is mainly preoccupied with getting an international treaty concerning adamantium signed, and reconnecting with his estranged daughter Betty. These two things are reiterated in almost all of his scenes and practically every line of dialogue. An example of some of this clunky dialogue here would be, "Have you heard from Betty, my daughter?" which he says to his personal aide, someone who would probably know the name of his daughter. When he's not bringing up Betty, that's his daughter by the way, he's getting angry. And that's basically his two states. His scene where he gets so mad he transforms into the Red Hulk is unintentionally hilarious and made me laugh out loud in the theatre. More so than any recent Marvel film I can recall, the lack of experience from the director is obvious. Almost every shot is either a close or a medium one, making this feel more like a TV movie than a big budget feature film. Scenes between two people are more often than not shot reverse shot. The bad coverage in action scenes suggests a fear to show off the choreography clearly, instead relying on quick cuts, shaky cam and close-ups. Comparing the opening of this film to The Winter Soldier exposes how amateurish this one truly is. The direction is flat and soulless, lacking style, cohesion or coherence. Brave New World has a story concept that is foundationally misguided and flawed. The idea that Sam Wilson could go toe-to-toe with a Hulk should have been laughed out the room. Its behind-the-scenes production drama has a more interesting plot than the film itself. While going in with low expectations makes you look more fondly upon the film, it never reaches the greatness of Captain America's other entries, either in character or action. Steve Rogers is sorely missed, and this film did not justify that Sam Wilson is the man to fill that void. With a less than stellar box office performance, this is yet another Marvel project with an overinflated budget marred with multiple rounds of reshoots and bad test screenings. The dent in Disney's pockets will be remembered far longer than anything in the film itself. So that's my review for Captain America Brave New World. What did you think? Have you seen the film? Do you agree with my review? Or did you have a different opinion? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I've got for today. I'll see you in the next video.